All right, well, welcome back, everybody. We've got our sixth section to cover here, 10-6 quadratic formula. Yeah, you're right. It is as exciting as it sounds. We're going to be working with problems that will eventually be in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We should be used to that. But I've got a brand new formula for you today that's pretty complex. So make sure you take a second to pause the video, write it down so that you don't have to try to write it down once you start our problems here. So go ahead and pause now, and the formula that I want you to write down is as follows. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. All of that is going to be divided by 2a. All right, so let's see how that's going to work. So the first problem that I give you is not very nice of me because it's not in that standard form that you're used to seeing. It's x squared plus 6 equals 5x. Well, if you remember the red arrow from the other video, what do you need to do? That's right, you got to get this side over here to equal 0. So if you said subtract 5x from both sides, well, congratulations, you're correct. So after subtracting 5x from both sides, now to write that equation in standard form, you have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now you can set it up into the formula, quadratic formula, to figure out what the roots are going to be. So to do that, you have to know which one is A, which one is B, and which one is C. Negative 5 will be your B, 6 is your C, and what are you going to have for A? That's right, you're going to have 1 because there's no number written down there. So take a second to plug that into all of those variables. And remember, when you substitute in, yes, you do need parentheses. Very good. So what's that going to look like after you substitute in A, B, and C? Well, you're going to have x equals the opposite of b. B was negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, negative 5 squared, minus 4ac, 4 times 1 times 6. And again, all of that is going to be divided by 2a, which in this case, remember, a was going to be 1. All right? So now that we have that all filled in, we'll start using what we know about order of operations. That's a piece of cake, right? Order of operations. We did that in pre-algebra. So let's get rid of some of our parentheses and start figuring out what the answer is going to be. So I multiplied the negative 1 times negative 5 out here. I got a positive 5. Plus or minus, I did my work underneath the parenthesis, or sorry, underneath the radical sign. And negative 5 squared is 25, not negative 25. Don't you dare write that down. And then you have negative 4 times 1 times 6, which gives you a negative 24. And all of that is going to be divided by 2 times 1, which is 2. Good, good. Then after that, subtract 25 minus 24 is 1. So you have 5 plus or minus the square root of 1. All of that going to be divided by 2. Then, that's right, you're going to take the square root of 1, which gives you 1. So now you have 5 plus or minus 1 divided by 2. And if you don't know what to do with that plus or minus, or the mixeroo, as some of you might call it, what you do with that is you've got two problems in one now. You're going to have 5 plus 1, which would give you 6, or 5 minus 1, which would give you 4. And then you'll notice that the 2 stays on the bottom for both of those, 6 divided by 2 or 4 divided by 2. And that gives you an answer of x equals 3 and x equals 2. Now remember, those are your roots. That's where the parabola is going to cross the x-axis. That was a lot of work for two little numbers. But this is called the quadratic the quadratic formula that you use for those equations. If you don't want to use the magic square, or you just can't figure out what your two binomials should be. So let's see if we can get through another problem. So I've written the formula up here at the top again. You might even have it memorized by now. Maybe not yet. All right, so I've got 2x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. Well, again, here you probably go to the magic square automatically because you see the 2 in front of the x squared. Well, in this case, say we don't want to do that, or say we forgot how to do the magic square. If we remember this formula, you can use that instead. Is it set equal to 0? Red arrow says yes. So 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, we have our a, we have our b, and we have our c. Let's start substituting in what we can. Look at that, I did it. So I've got the opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, all of that divided by 2 times a. All right? Then, order of operations, I start putting some of them together, get rid of the parentheses on the outside, negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared 16, negative 4 times 2 times negative 7 gives us a positive 56, all of that divided by 4. Divide what? Sorry, not divide yet. Do what's underneath the radical sign first. 16 plus 56 is 72. Then square root of 72 is, whoa, what happened to the equal sign? It got all wavy there. That just means I rounded something. If you really took the square root of 72, it would still take up all of your calculator space, unless you did it in your head. And then rather than write all that down, I rounded to the nearest hundredth. So then I have negative 4 plus 8.49 divided by 4 and negative 4 minus 8.49 divided by 4. And you'll see that I still keep the little close to, I rounded the estimate instead of an equal sign. So I got 4.49 divided by 4 or negative 12.49 divided by 4. And I get my final answers of x is approximately 1.12 or negative, I don't know if you can see that, negative 3.12. All right, so following the quadratic formula, you should be able to get the roots of any type of problem. So here's another one that I want you to try on your own. Let me bring it up here. 4x squared minus 3x plus 6 equals 0. I want you to solve that on your own, and then if you would, go ahead and type those answers in where it tells you to on the form. If not, if you can't fill out the form, write them down in your notes, bring them into your teacher, either Ms. Gokin or myself, and we'll see you tomorrow in class with those answers. But make sure that you get this equation, this formula written down before you turn off the video. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that divided by 2a. So I hope this video is going to be helpful, and I hope that you bring those answers to this quadratic equation, 4x squared minus 3x plus 6 equals 0. Bring that into class, and we'll see what happens. Or you can put your answers on the form, and it'll get sent right away.